looking for her very own sunshine. All alone in her face.
We'll cut that. Thanks again for coming out to talk here at the Russ, Meek, Speak show. We're here to try to educate people, let them know what they need to be doing with themselves and their lives and going forward from here. So I have two sharp individuals here today to talk about what's happening here in the good old country and the world of finance. So I will let you gentlemen tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on. Always excited to share our expertise on the matter. My name's David Irwin. I'm the agency director of our agency of Bankers Life. Our office is up in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, so
Okay.
kind of on the border of Lake and Cook County there.
Got it.
Also a financial representative with Bankers Life Securities.
Got it.
So.
And you, sir?
Yeah, my name is Benjamin Krotky. I'm just an insurance agent at Bankers Life. I'm also currently studying to become a financial advisor, like Dave here.
Okay. The world of finance, huge, multi-trillion industry. Lots of people spending money daily and trying to decide, how do I have enough money to live for the rest of my life? Well, you work, hopefully you save some money here and there, and you save enough to move forward. So what's the strategy right now for people who want to get things most needed? Health. I got things that are out there right now from long-term care. I got things dealing with other related health issues. And then I got to save for money to go into either stocks, bonds, or other related products. So what's the strategy? How do we tell these people how to move forward?
Okay, so the first thing you brought up is health.
Yes.
And in particular, you mentioned long-term care planning.
Yes.
So, a lot of Americans just, you notice when they do advertising and commercials about health insurance, you see a lot of commercials about, Medicare, group coverage, regular major medical types of health plans, but you really don't see a whole lot about long-term care, which is kind of a shame because long-term care is actually, probably the single greatest cause of retirees, especially kind of the middle class, middle income retirees, going bankrupt because of the fact that neither major medical group coverage nor Medicare actually cover long-term care costs.
So I got big issues with that because I even have a brother who right now needs to be in long-term care, but we're looking at $30,000 a month for them to give them an extended long-term care. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's untenable. Yeah, absolutely. And so as far as individuals thinking about that, because again, it's usually either going through a familial type of experience, like knowing somebody that needs it, or having a personal experience with it is again, that's just not in the front of mind of a lot of individuals. So usually what we discuss with our clients, because we work with a lot of individuals that are at or near retirement age, is what are their experiences with that, with other relatives? How did that impact them? Because that's usually kind of the catalyzing factor to get people to think about that, right? And so, and way too many people wait until they're already at retirement age or are on Medicare, where obviously as people get older, the odds of having some sort of health affliction are much higher.
And your prices go up.
And prices go up, absolutely.
And it's a crazy thing. People like, wait a minute, I got to pay more than I'm older?
Yeah.
Again, you're closer to death. Don't go aside.
No, absolutely. And so obviously just like with financial planning, doing it as young as possible is really key. And with long-term care planning, while people are still healthy and people are still working, that's the time to at least start looking into it. And again, sure, there's insurance options and other things of that sort. But for us, the most important thing is to just start that conversation.
Right.
If you have children, you say, hey, look, there's a really good chance, especially with modern medicine, right? People are living longer. The baby boomers are right in the middle of getting into retirement and dealing with that, right? And so there's a lot of strain that's going into the system with that.
Got it.
And so, but individuals that have children again and say, well, so if I were to get sick, right? So because again, needing long-term care versus, passing away, passing away, you only die once, right?
I'm not me.
And that's it. but with long-term care is there's a very good chance that you might be needing this for a long and extended period of time.
Right.
And like you mentioned, the costs are astronomical.
Yeah, there are some options.
Yeah.
Now, are you big on the long-term care side? Is that a lot to see for clients?
Yeah, long-term care, definitely a big part of what we do. And it's kind of what got me into the business because my grandma needed that long-term care coverage, and seeing how much it cost her and how it affected her and my whole family and what we had to go through. It's something I wanted to learn about how to prevent and how to help other people prevent it as well.
Got it.
So that's how I kind of learned about the business and got into everything.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of different products out there in long-term care. Some that even do cash accumulation. Some give you options where it's inflating the costs where you actually can do this over time. But it seems like there's many, many options that people need to understand for long-term care and which option fits them best.
Absolutely.
And right now, for a married couple trying to say, hey, how do we protect ourselves on the long-term care side? There are some options.
Yeah, 100%.
So right now, if you guys had to put options on the table, say the senior couple in their 60s, almost 70, cost is through the roof now.
Absolutely.
So what's the strategy going to be for an older group?
Okay. Yeah, so for older couples, again, it's going to kind of boil down to what they're trying to protect asset-wise, right? And so, because obviously when you look at long-term care, the important factors are obviously maintaining independence, protecting assets, and having the freedom and choices, to receive the type of care that you want to receive, right? And so now, if it's an older couple that has health issues, right, where if they try to apply for a long-term care insurance policy and it might be prohibitive due to their health, then you kind of have to think outside the box and look at some financial options to cover that, right? So if their health is decent, then certainly, looking at, there's a lot of, there's about 10, 11 companies. There actually used to be a whole lot more companies that offered long-term care coverage, but that number has diminished just because of claim utilization and overall liabilities. Long-term care is very expensive.
Now, I've never looked at this, but for a youth today, can I start now? If I'm an 18-year-old person, can I start the long-term care contract now?
Great question. So for it varies, like if you're looking at insurance, it varies from company to company, but a lot of like tax qualified, fully comprehensive long-term care programs, do allow individuals to start as young as 18 years old. And then, maybe the more simplified plans that maybe are a little bit easier to qualify for, those might start around maybe 40 years old.
Okay.
But certainly, if you're going to start young, inflation protection is something that's very important.
I'm just looking at, again,
Yeah.
if I
So-
could get, for my daughter who's 16, will be 18 soon,
Yeah.
should I invest in a long-term care contract with her now? Let's get her ahead of the game to say, hey, this is something at some point we will all use to some degree.
Sure.
So if I could start it now, then at least cut my cost, and hey, I'm paying pennies as opposed to thousands of dollars, at least in a format on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. So I mean, as previously mentioned, I mean, once she hits 18 years old, I think then she could, apply with certain companies for approval. Now, as far as that age, that's a very young age to
Yes.
to start looking at long-term care planning, and certainly the premiums would be significantly lower than somebody that's in their late 60s, early 70s. And for us, I mean, we usually advise our clients to look at it in their 40s and 50s.
Got it. Now, that's the long-term care side, but right now
Exactly.
I say for my child,
Yeah.
for life insurance, it's another area. Right now
Right.
at this age,
Yeah.
Time to get best pricing, because right now we're only getting older. Our statutory tables are really going off the roof right now. We're expecting to live 85 as an average age right now.
Correct.
But that's hoping going to be growing. We'll live a lot longer than 85 easily, but it's no guarantee. But right now, what's the strategy for getting your kids right now life contracts early?
Oh, 100%. The earlier the better. I mean, just like with, like investing for a college savings account, once a child has a Social Security number, they're eligible to get permanent life insurance, right? So whether you go the whole life route, whether you go universal life, there's multiple options for them, and like you said, you have a very low cost of insurance and low premiums, and most importantly is locking in that insurability, so that if a diagnosis or a health condition comes up down the road, that insurability is protected for them.
Got it. Other side though, right now we have an issue. Our economy is having some issues right now. People who are on Medicare and things of that related type scenario are gonna, it seems to be, has some problems coming up with legislation that say we may have to change the boat. And right now, what's going to be the recommendations? Are we going to be able to help people, or is this something that we just don't know?
Yeah, so as far as, so you're asking about like legislations regarding Medicare?
Yeah.
Or like Social Security?
How that's impacting the average person, if they're going up and they have to live, you're on Medicare, Medicaid, things of that nature. Yes, it's great to get there, but right now it's definitely going to be subject to change.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think it just has to do with the landscape of how things are right now in our country, and mainly because of the fact that we have a generation of individuals, the baby boomers. At the time was the largest generation of individuals in American history, for a generation, and when you factor in modern medicine and people living longer, is the longer somebody is on a program like Medicare, because Medicare is a federal health program that most people they're entitled to when they turn 65 years old if you meet certain criteria, but if you're going to be on those programs for 20, 30 years, you have to make sure that those programs stay solvent, right? And so the solvency, that's where Medicare has started to recruit, like private insurance companies, and that's where Medicare Advantage came about to help take some of that strain off. So the government's been trying to mitigate this, because obviously they've seen it coming for a long time. But obviously for us, luck favors the prepared, and you never want to take any chances on hoping something's going to be there at the same capacity that it is right now in the future, because we don't know how things are going to be.
Obamacare, another issue right now that was thought to have been the format that would help a lot of people. Those are uninsurable, had access to get health coverage. Right now, I still think it's a great option for people to get onto. But is that something right now you guys are saying, advising that, hey, take advantage of it while you can, or the boat is running out quickly?
Yeah, so absolutely. While it's still there, I mean, honestly, at least in this area, Cook County and Lake County, if you don't have access to group coverage, there just aren't really that many other options available outside of marketplace Obamacare programs. And especially with people who have pre-existing conditions, the fact that there's an insurance out there that is guaranteed acceptance, that there is a marketplace where people can shop and compare different types of programs. The out-of-pocket costs might be on the high side, but for people that have lower income, they can qualify for a federal subsidy, and that can help people out quite a lot. But until there's a better option out there, which nobody has proposed anything better, it's necessary, and it'll continue to be necessary until, especially for people that are self-employed, people that may not be able to afford the coverage that their employers offer them. this is a great option until something better happens, or until they can qualify for Medicare. A lot of people bide their time to try.
They're trying
get
to
that
wait.
point.
Hey, I'm gonna make it. No
We gotta
problem.
make it. Yeah. So
Issue right now. I gotta live here, possibly till 85. Right now, I have an expense that happens on a monthly basis, and I have a job. So right now that I do have this job, I generate a certain amount of income every month. How much money should I be putting away in looking for the world of retirement? Is that something that I should basically put on the table right now?
Yeah, I mean, the earlier the better. The earlier you can start preparing for everything. It's what you want to be doing.
yeah, and I think the rule of thumb is when they say about 20% of take home income. Obviously, you have to balance out income versus expenses, right? So first and foremost, you have to cover your expenses first, and then anything additional, you put about 20% into savings, and that's a great start. But obviously, it'll depend on your age, right? So people that start planning and saving later kind of feel that sense of urgency to try to do the catch up, right? So you start at a younger age, you have time, you have compounded interest working in your favor, so yeah, the younger you are, the less stressed you're going to be about having to make sure that you have enough for savings.
Yeah, I'm a 21-year-old, just got out of college right now, saying, hey, what do I need to do right now? Well,
Yeah.
I got a 401k at the work here, but should I put away more money? Well, always put away as much money as you can.
Yep.
It's never a question of that. But the question is, what do I use? What products do I use to actually make this happen? What would you put it in? I'm making $55,000 a year. I don't spend that much. I still live at home with mom and dad, so I don't have an expense.
Yeah.
So where should I be putting this extra money? I could put away $5,000, let's say, to some investments. What would make sense?
Yeah, well, for me, what I personally have is I have a Roth IRA from a previous employer that I still put money into. And then I also have a universal life policy on myself that I pay a premium for every month that builds cash value and things along those lines to help me generate income for retirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for myself, the first thing I would do is go back to that 401k. And number one, and I'll kind of explain 401ks just in a little more detail for those that may not be very familiar with them, just because they are such an important factor in that initial planning for retirement. Is so 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement plan. It's funded with pre-tax dollars. Right. So number one, you really, at the very least with your 401k, you want to take advantage of maximizing that employer match.
Want to do it into the max.
Yes, absolutely. And so because if there's a match from your employer, you don't maximize that match, then you're leaving money on the table. That's free money that they're putting and contributing right into your 401k plan, right? So every employer is different, so I always stress each individual to reach out to the individual that administers the 401k to get that information, because it's helpful, and it helps people better understand what they're investing in, because I sit with so many individuals that have had 401ks for so many years and they don't really even understand what they're invested in and how it's performing. A lot of people just kind of set it and forget it, right?
Yeah, I get the annual sheet. Okay, which do you select? Here you go. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn in the sheet.
So, but it's your money, and you should at least have, some basic idea of what it's being invested in, the different types of funds, and so on and so forth. So at the very least, that's the first step, right? Now, if you can afford to even contribute more, right, because there are annual contribution limits to 401ks, is because it's pre-tax money, the more that's contributed to a 401k, that's going to reduce your taxable income.
Right.
And so if you can even go beyond the match, that may not be a bad idea if you have a good 401k plan. Okay,
Right.
so maybe a little extra on that side. Now, you mentioned $55,000 a year, 21-year-old living at home, right? So
I'm going to buy a house.
So yeah, I mean, so there's different types of Ben mentioned what he does. So there's different types of IRAs that stand for individual retirement accounts. So you have traditional IRA, and you have something that's called a Roth IRA, right? So traditional IRAs, similar to a 401k, are funded with pre-tax dollars, whereas Roth IRAs are funded with after-tax dollars. Now, for individuals age 50 and younger, there is a maximum annual contribution of $7,000 per year that you can put in, and it can be any combination of traditional and Roth, right? So, and again, looking at both of those, you just kind of have to figure out, okay, what's better for me? Do I want to put into an account? And remember, you have to have earned income, so you have to make at least as much money as what you contribute into the IRA. So if you don't have earned income, you can't contribute, right? So, but then you compare and say, okay, well, do I want to put more pre-tax money in to a tax-deferred program like a traditional IRA to lower my income even further, to help in that way, or do I want to take the money that's already been taxed, put into a Roth, so that I could have gains where in the future, after 5 years, right, I can take out those gains tax-free, right? So those are two different options that I highly recommend people investigate and see which one makes the most sense for them.
And also looking at the benefits for putting these money or the dollars away into these types of accounts. It's not they're not locked up forever, because they can be utilized for different things, like buying a house and things of that nature. So you want to look at the options of why you're putting the money away and what you plan to do. And you get to put it into various investments. You can do Fidelity investments, or my favorite, the Goldman Sachs fund, and things of that nature. Make a lot of money, but the format is understand where your money's going and how it benefits on a tax basis. Again, I love the Roth because, again, I put this money away, it grows to this staggering number, and I can start taking it out tax-free.
Exactly.
Definitely good in my books. I hate paying taxes. So
no, for sure. And just keep in mind with Roth IRAs, there is a maximum income limit before you can stop contributing to them, which is why it's not a bad idea that, when you're younger, before you start getting into those ages where you're earning more income, because I think for this year, it's phased at, for a single individual, 150,000, 165,000. It's phased out. Married filing jointly, it's phased out at 246,000. So if you make more than that, you can't contribute to a Roth. So when you're younger and your income's a little bit lower, then you can really take advantage of contributing at a younger age and use that as a strategy for long term. Because you can always contribute to a traditional IRA.
So what do you guys think? Overall, we get population of people that will need to save money. Right now, you're going to pay X dollars, and when you retire, you're not making the money that you used to make. But you're consuming, because your consumption level is not just going to go away, it's going to still stay there, and you're going to need to have money available to live. So the question I put on the table is say, what's going to be the best strategy? Well, I have clients now, we'll put them into gold, we'll put them into stocks, we'll put them into oil and other futures that are out there. Palladium seems to be a great position right now we're doing with certain clients, but it's an issue, there is no guarantee. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. I do see the U.S. and Russia going into some issues and say, hey, we're going to be battling here with Russia? Don't know, but be secure. Always nice to have some backups, be it hard assets or other related investments that you can actually utilize when needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the big thing is obviously, finding a balance. Each person's balance is different, making sure you're well diversified. So like you mentioned, certain commodities and other types of things, right? And so just, and again, having an understanding of what you're investing in, versus just blindly, going into something and hoping for the best. I think the more research people do for themselves, the better of a decision they're going to make.
Okay. So what's the best strategy now for the 65-year-old lady who's out here saying, look, I'm here, I beyond work world now, although I still go and make money from time to time, but right now, where should I be putting my money at 65 years of age? I have a fixed budget, I get Social Security that comes in, and I'm still making money.
Yeah. So yeah, excellent question. Types of individuals that we see with that we sit with and see quite frequently, right? So obviously, as an individual reaches retirement age, there's something called the time horizon, right? So the time horizon is that time frame in which a person starts investing and then needs access to those funds and life expectancy, right? So you're closer to the end
Yes.
as you get older, right? And as people get older, naturally, we're just talking about an average person because everybody has different risk tolerances, right? You could have a 65-year-old that's extremely risky and likes going to the casino and likes to put everything on black, and on the flip side, you might have somebody who's so conservative that they just want to take all the money and hide it under the mattress, right? But most people tend to fall into moderate risk tolerance, and normally a 65-year-old of moderate risk tolerance is going to be more conservative than a 40-year-old of moderate risk tolerance.
Yes.
Just because if take for example what happened just a few years ago in 2022, with the backlash from COVID and everything else, the market took a hit for that year. It's rebounded since, which is great, but those older individuals that had their money in risky normal investments that had market risk lost quite a bit in 2022, right?
Okay.
Now, luckily, just over the last couple of years, people have been able to recover, but that's not a guarantee that if the next time we have something like that, and again, take a look back at 2007, how long it took for the economy to recover from that, is those individuals don't have the luxury to wait it out and wait for the market to bounce back. It impacts people pretty profoundly right away because they have to access that money, right? And so in terms of balance, I use a rule that a lot of financial representatives and professionals use their clients, called the rule of 100.
Okay.
And again, it's just kind of a basic, just kind of like a guideline for if you're 100 years old, you subtract your current age, in general, that's kind of what percentage of your assets should be in higher risk equity types of investments, right? So whether it's growth funds, stocks, ETFs, mutual funds that have risk, because obviously you don't want to be completely out of the market because you want to be able to take advantage of some of those gains, but you don't want to have all of your eggs in that one basket, right? So again, kind of looking at that, a good balance, would be, having 35-40% of the assets in tried and true types of growth funds. You mentioned things like for example like your Goldman Sachs, but S&P index funds and then sector funds, technology, that kind of stuff. But then the rest being in things a little bit more secure, right? So and a lot of portfolios would have maybe bond funds and other types of things. A lot of clients like the safety of like annuity programs, more of like fixed or indexed types of programs, but again, it's all about balance, right? So making sure that there's enough liquidity for access for emergencies, enough growth potential, but also enough that's being protected for safety. So if people feel good about being balanced, then they're going to feel happy. So
for a young gentleman like you,
yeah,
we're looking at the future here, putting money away to buy a house and married, the family, things of that nature. What's your strategy right now? Because I have some issues where Social Security is not going to be that savior, in my opinion, coming up. So what does a young guy like you think really makes sense?
Yeah, well, for me, what I'm doing, I'm not a big spender, really. I save a lot of my money. And so I guess my goal is I'm trying to max out my IRA contributions for the year. And then I'm also saving for real estate. I want to buy a house and everything, and let that grow in value with time, and have that as another asset under my belt. But yeah, really, it's just mainly the IRA contributing to that, and then just using the compound interest over the next 40, 50 years while I'm working
Got it.
to grow and have a good nest egg for my retirement.
What's your opinion on Social Security? Is that something that you put into your in-run option?
I don't know. So there's so much stuff with it, and they say all these things. And for me, I guess, my focus is, kind of not looking to rely on Social Security, but, build enough retirement income just from myself where Social Security is not going to be a big deal for me.
Yeah, because right now, getting the projections where Social Security will be running out of funding coming in 2040.
It's actually a little bit earlier than that now. So,
Yeah, and I'm saying, okay, well, I got a lot of people who are on Social Security. Will they get hit? Yeah, it's very possible. So what are you guys telling clients, at least right now, they should expect over the next few years?
Oh yeah, great question, and in fact, it's at the front of a lot of our clients' minds is so like you mentioned, so they're talking about the Social Security fund, not being 100% solvent anymore, right? And I think they were saying by actually more like 2033. It used to be 81%. I think it's now down to 77% solvency. The big thing people need to understand is, Social Security, in my opinion, is never going to go away. It's just going to be different, right? So the question being how different it's going to be, that's going to be up to legislators to kind of figure out, right? So, but again, this all kind of goes back to the same thing with Medicare and the baby boomers is, people are living longer. And interesting statistic is, I think at the start of the time when baby boomers were getting into retirement, there were 5 individuals contributing into the Social Security program for every 1 person that was receiving benefits. And now it's showing that it's 3 people for every 1 person. So there we have an issue, in the country of having enough people, working to contribute to Social Security. So I think that's the number one most important thing is that we have enough individuals contributing to Social Security through, their workplace deductions. So, and you can already see that they've made adjustments by increasing full retirement age. So full retirement age is now 67. I think they've increased the income, the earnings cap on paying for Social Security. That's been going up. So obviously, if they continue to make those types of adjustments, that's going to extend the time frame. But yeah, I mean, something has to change.
It will change.
And it will change.
Unfortunately, one way or another.
And what I tell my clients is, more than likely, Social Security, because they ask about future generations, they know it's going to be around for them, right? Because they're already in their 60s and 70s, so they're not too concerned about themselves, but they have concerns about their children, they have concerns about their grandchildren, and I just tell them, I feel pretty confident that it's going to be around, but it's going to be different, and that within itself should give urgency to those younger generations to start thinking outside the box and not relying on something that is not promised, right?
Got it.
So absolutely, like Ben said, is great. Any way that you can invest and diversify, however many different ways you can do that to provide different streams of income for yourself for your retirement, then it makes relying on one thing a lot less important.
Okay.
So.
Big picture right now, we got an economy that is competing with the rest of the world, and right now China is the competition right now, and I'm heavily invested in certain things that come out of China. But the question for you guys is, where do we want to be? Putting on the magic crystal ball here to say, hey, as an individual here in the U.S. right now, looking to live my life, I'm expected to live I got another 50 years left. So it's a forward to say, hey, you got to do some things with your life. You got to prepare, plan. You got to plan. You got to have the format of what you want. And again, I have a child, so you're going to have to look at that 16-year-old who wants to go to medical school now. It's going to cost you another $500,000 for that series.
Yeah.
So what is it that would be the best strategy right now to put in place to say, hey, this is what can make it work? Or is there such a product?
So is that more in reference for the child themselves or for the entire family unit? Or
I'm talking about me as the individual.
For you as an
saying
individual.
To prepare for the overall unit, from
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get done for
Yeah.
right now, to reach where you want to go,
Right.
what's going to be the best product today to get involved with?
Best product to get enrolled with. That's very interesting.
Where were I getting bet?
Yeah. So again, one thing we didn't discuss is, if you've already maxed out all of the 401ks and the IRAs that you can do, is you can always open up an individual brokerage account, right? So a self-managed TOD account with your own investments,
Right.
and then just invest in companies that you like, invest in technology, and obviously AI is something that's booming,
Yeah.
and pharmaceutical sectors. I mean there's a lot, but the younger you are, the more aggressive you can be in your investing, right? And take advantage of that. That 20% savings. You can't just take that, put it in a savings account, not earning interest. Your money has to work for you, right? And so it's a balance between liquidity, having enough set aside for emergencies, because they always talk about having at least 6 months of expenses set aside in savings for emergencies, right? And so once that's set aside, then now you could really start to get creative with how you invest, right?
Got it. So I'd like to come back, and if I could have told the viewers of the show
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, my best investment was NVIDIA.
NVIDIA,
Of course,
right, yeah.
they came in and said, "Hey, I heard the guy said NVIDIA." Yeah, I did put that on the table, but
Yeah.
there's no guarantee.
No guarantees. No.
And you got to look at life to say, "Hey, get involved, diversify, and go from there."
Right.
But for you guys, people who are going to be watching the show, say, "I got to contact these guys," and what's the best way for them to contact you guys so they can sit down? Do you guys usually meet people face to face, sit down, or what's the
Yeah.
strategy there?
Yeah, that's all that we do. In fact, with Banker's Life, we're old-fashioned in the sense of how we develop relationships with clients. So we're all about relationships. I've been doing this for 12 years. Have a large network of clients that are almost like family. I've been to weddings, I've been to funerals, and that's because of the fact that we do everything face to face. We sit down, people can come to our office, but more often than not, we prefer that we sit down at the kitchen table with our clients. We come to their house, we develop the relationship, and that's how it starts. And my goal is to be that trusted advocate for my clients for as long as I continue to do this.
So we sit down, kitchen table, for, let's say, hour and a half,
Exactly.
talk about me and life.
Yep.
Then the question is, what's our end game? What product are we going to be looking at after this whole hour and a half is done?
Well,
Is this a full plan for life or what?
yeah, well, no, I mean, because we work with financial products, and we also work with insurance. That gives us an ability to provide a much more holistic approach
Okay.
to just saying, well, we only do this one program, and so this is what we're gonna push. That's not what we do. So we make our recommendations based on the client's situation. We fact find, do a needs assessment, and then we move forward with a recommendation that the clients agree with. That's in their best interest. I mean, Reg BI. I mean, we're bound by guidelines to always do what's in our client's best interest.
Got it.
So
Then that gets the process rolling.
Yeah.
So best way for viewers to contact you guys? Either just call a certain number or look at a website, or what's the way to do it?
yes. So if they want to contact, I mean, obviously, the company that we represent. If you want to get information on that, you go on www.bankerslife.com. If you want to contact us individually via email, I think email is the best way to contact us. My email is David, D-A-V-I-D, .Irwin, I-R-W-I-N,
Okay.
at bankerslife.com. So an email is a great way to contact me. Yeah.
Okay. And you, sir?
Yeah, mine is Benjamin, Benjamin, Krotky, Krotky, @bankerslife.com.
And you're not married yet, right?
No.
Okay. Hey, you get the ladies looking and say, hey, this guy looks like he might be a good guy. Let me dial him up and say, hey, let's get together.
I'm open to all types of emails, I guess, so feel free.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a format.
man.
But the real issue I hope to get out of our conversations today is to say, hey, we got a world out here that is changing rapidly.
Yes.
You need to get good information and data that can give you the items that help you get to where you're trying to reach. So right now, again, it's a ton of locations, tons of different people trying to provide such services. But right now, we're looking for the relationship that makes you comfortable in letting us help you. And that's really what the whole objective is. Did I say it okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the format right now today, I've had an opportunity to work with quite a few people in the financial world. Tongue does not want to move. And I'm looking here to say, hey, what is it that you do? Well, I had a great opportunity to manage, work with some of the Bears rookies. The folks at the Bears allowed me to come in and do classes for them. And it's a format where I always tell them, hey, if this year looks like a Super Bowl year, I definitely have to get some tickets, and you guys will have me come in and I'll deal with the rookies. That's fine. But I teach at Lake Forest's Graduate School of Business, so they like to get that part done. And they also like some of the other items. So education is, for me, the key to say, hey, let's make this work. And for our audience right now that's listening to what we're talking about here, I think a lot wanted to know about, hey, what's happening in these areas? You talked about retirement, yeah, so we got that on the table. We talked a little bit about what's happening with Medicare. We talked a little bit about Social Security, and we talked about our youth. What needs to be done, and we hit a few items that are out there. So those are items that we can actually help you with and make some things work a little bit better. So my question to you guys is, I need some forecast here. What are we going to be looking at in the next 5 to 10 years? What's your opinion? What do you guys see coming up in terms of the financials, things of that nature, and where this market's going?
And where the market's going? Oh
The
man,
unknown.
that's yeah. Well, that's always a tricky thing, right? Because none of us have a crystal ball. You know, the one thing that we can say with absolute certainty is that we're currently in a situation that is experiencing a lot of volatility. So, you know, in general, the market has been trending up. There have been, you know, deregulations and a number of things that have certainly assisted in that. But you know, with volatility, you just never know. I mean, the hope is that the market continues to go up, but it's difficult to say. The one thing I will say is that there are specific sectors, right, that are kind of buoying the market, kind of you know pulling their more than their fair share, and keeping things going, right. And that's certainly, we talked about, you know, technology, telecommunications, you know, and again, you know, pharmaceuticals have been doing well as well. But, you know, you kind of walk out in the street and you go around town and you see a lot of shuttered businesses, you know, and you see a lot of empty buildings, and it you know, you can't help but wonder, like, well, you know, the market's still going up, but I'm seeing a lot of, you know, red flags and issues, right? But as long as technology continues, and again, you know, AI is just such a huge factor in that, and you know, and the spending that's going into technology, you know, I see that you know, continuing for, you know, at least the near future. Interest rates, we'll see. I mean, they're starting to cool off, you know. So, but in the same token, is it just as likely that you know, we could experience you know, another hit like what happened in 2007. Yes. So, and again, when I talk to my clients, you know, everybody has their own opinions on it, and the biggest thing is you know, when I sit with an individual, is, you know, are they comfortable or happy with where they're at and how they're set up, so that, you know, if something negative happens, that they're prepared for it, that they're not going to lose their shirts, right? And that's the biggest thing about balance, right? So having that risk and that safety balanced out. So that way, if the market does wonderfully, then you're participating and you're doing great. And if something unexpected happens, like 2007, then you're not concerned about making sure that you're able to make ends meet. So.
Been on the younger side of the coin, young guy. Hey, do you think we're going to go forward in the future, or are we just going to die?
Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's what I would say. Powerball is at 1.7 billion now. Throw a couple bucks at that, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that would be a nice investment. I could see me getting the Powerball, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, never again. But it's an interesting world that we're trying to help to manage. And right now, it's a format where I just try to get as much data, try to educate my daughter and give her information, knowledge she can use. The younger you are, again, you want to get as much data as you can and understand. Now, you guys think that AI is going to replace you guys soon?
I think, humanity, we're going to go down, looking at things from, the moral ethical standpoint. I mean, I think humanity has to have a sense of contact with people, so of community, right? So I don't think that's ever going to go away. So I don't think AI is going to completely take over all relationships.
Okay.
I think there's certain mindsets that might be a little bit more predisposed to wanting to have that type of relationship, but I think future generations just kind of have to get out there, communicate with people, form natural relationships with people, and and have a drive to be successful, to help their community, to make the world a better place, right? And it starts with having good parenting, good guidance, right? And like you said, you talk about collecting data and everything, and making sure that they're as well prepared and well informed as possible, so that they can become productive citizens.
Got it.
So
now, from the standpoint from you guys, do you guys looking for a large crew of people that you guys are recruiting these days, or is it pretty much leveling off?
Well, we just got the new office, so we're always looking for new agents.
Okay, you got the space, huh?
Yeah. That's part of the reason why we moved to the bigger office, to grow the business and everything. And
no, absolutely. And fact of the matter is there's just such a massive need for quality, financial assistance for people. Having somebody to trust, and I feel like overall, that community is underserved, and so we're always going to be recruiting, quality individuals that that we believe will contribute to our culture, and it's an amazing culture. We have a lot of Gen Z and younger financial professionals working in our office, and just having that vigor of the youth is something that's very exciting. But again, this field needs more people to help. Chicago is a large area.
It's a large monster, and right now there's a huge demand for the services, especially to educate people on the financial services side.
Yeah.
Now, I come back to you guys and say, hey, you guys can only provide so much. You only got so many fingers and hands.
Right.
But contact us, and we'll get back to you, and we'll make some things and set it up.
Absolutely.
But I have to thank you guys for coming on today. We talked a lot. It went by fast. Like,
yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Like, what we just talked? Did we just start?